This conference will now be recorded.
Today it will be about the education system of the floorball education system in the high school, and how to work or how to develop the player, and of course how to choose the right players on this education system. So maybe more it's on you. So Mattias, you have the word now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to talk about the NIU floorball education here in Sweden, and I hope that I can give you guys some influences. As you see on the first slide here, I have an agenda, and I will start a little presentation of me, and then we will take it step by step, and in the end, maybe you guys have some questions that I hopefully can give you some good answers to. Okay, if there is anything, just tell me, and I will stop talking, and maybe you have a question that you wanna tell me about during the presentation. That will be okay for me. All right, this is me, my facts. I'm 48 years old. I live in a small city, 3 miles outside Gothenburg. Lerum is a city with a lot of floorball players, and yeah, I've been doing this for most of my life. Started playing floorball at the age of 13, and I've seen this fantastic sport develop through the years. I became a coach quite young, at the age of 15. I played 5 seasons in the Allsvenskan League, and I've been a head coach in Allsvenskan for 4 years. My education is based on as a PE teacher at the University of Gothenburg, and also have an elite floorball coach education. Today I work as a NIU floorball instructor here in Lerum. I've been doing that for nearly 12 years now. And an important thing is that I'm employed by the school, the city of Lerum, not by the Swedish Floorball Federation. So the school employed me, and I will talk a little bit more about that later on, but it's good for the long term that the school employed me. I also work as a PE teacher. Yeah, and my floorball tasks, I do quite a lot about floorball in FPC Lerum, the club of FPC Lerum, and also a scout for Sweden national team under 19. And I also work with a group of boys 16 years old. Or you can say it's like the talented boys here in Gothenburg. Yeah, floorball is my passion and my lifestyle.
I'm sorry, I have a question about the scout, your scout position. What does it mean actually?
It means that in this region, I help the national team with how can I say, I have like a closer look on the most talented players in this region, and I talk a lot with the national team coach, and yeah, gives him updates. So that's like my work as a scout. That's what I do.
Okay, and that means that from representation, they told you, okay, we need some, and I don't know, really quick players, good shotter, or somebody who is really good with a defend, or some complex talent.
Yeah, it can be that, or it can also be like, well, this player will play this game on Saturday. We want you to go to that match and scout him and give us an update about his performance. So it could be like a certain player, or it could be like we want these skills in the national team. Do you have any players who fit that profile?
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, the NIU system. I want to give you like a sort of a little information before I go more into details. It's a big educational network. We have 30 schools around the whole country, spread out. We have approximately 70 floorball teachers / instructors who work with this. And 1,200 students are included in this system. And it lasts for 3 years. They start when they are 16 and they finish at the age of 18. And this system is certified by the government, the Swedish Floorball Federation, and the Swedish Sports Federation. So it's certified, and it looks like the same in the whole country. There are no differences. These 30 schools, we basically do the same things.
And that means that you have 1,200 students in all systems. So it's under 16, under 17, under 18.
Yeah, it's all included there. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And the purpose of this system is, of course, to educate exceptional talented players and prepare them for the elite level. And in Sweden, elite level could be Allsvenskan or SSL. And also we want to give students with high ambitions and exceptional qualities a possibility to combine sports and studies on a high level. And once you get into the NIU system as a student, you're a part of the national team system. So the coach of the national team under 19, he comes to my schools a couple of times a year and watch the students or / the players in trainings, and so they are a part of this system. Should I move on?
If they are be a part of the national team system, you mean all this system for the really big number of players, or you just choose the most talented player on the other camp?
Yeah, when they the second year, when they are 17 years old, every school pick 4 or 5 students from each school, and we have like camps in 4 parts of the country, and the national team coach come to these camps and educate the students together with us, we who on a daily basis educate them. So all of them are a part of the system, but not all of them will have a meeting or whatever with the national team coach, but they are a part of this system. The NIU system is a part of the national team.
Okay, and how often are these special camps?
We have them every year, and it's for 17-year-old students. So in year 1, there's nothing like that for them, but in year 2, when they turns 17, we have these camps. And it's a 1-day camp, and it's also like a preparation for the coach of the national team under 19 when he pick his squad for the matches against Finland or whatever when you have these small tournaments. So it's like an opportunity for him to prepare his squad.
Okay, so it's only one per year. Yes, it's right.
Yeah, and in 4 different parts of the country. So this autumn we had this camp here in Lerum, and we had players from the southern parts of Sweden. They came here, and we had I think we had 40 players here.
Okay, and in case that it's only 5 different places, so how it's possible that, or it's in different time? Because if you want to under 19 national teams trainers, so they have to move from all of these teams.
Yeah, so we have like a schedule. So they one day they are up in north in Umeå, and 3 days later they fly down to Uppsala and they have a camp there, and next week they come to Lerum, and yeah, sort of like that.
Yeah, okay, now I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. The selection process, that's for me a big key factor, because well, there's always a lot of talking about who's a talent and what's a talent, but for us, the selection process is really important. So when these students are about, well, the year before they start here, they apply to a maximum of 3 different schools, and in December and January we have a 3-day selection process, and during these 3 days we scan the students in 3 boxes: the athlete, the floorball player, and personality. And we rate them in 12 categories, and we add the students' points. And then we rank them, and we also put in the grades, because that's a important fact in when we choose the students. And then the question is, how many students can Lerum put in the system here? And we have 40 slots here during 3 years, so we can't have more than 40 students. And sometimes we have 15 slots available, sometimes we have 10 slots available, sometimes we have 20 slots available. It depends how many of our students are going to take an exam in year 3. So it's a quite complex process, and we sort of have like 50 or 60 or 70 students who are applying to us every year, and maybe 10 or 15 can start here. And another big thing is that they also need to make the admission for the big education, like for their economics education or science education. And once they make that admission, they can add the NIU system to their education. So it's quite complex.
Okay, and what category you actually point? So you write about 12 categories. What is it?
Yeah, we have the athlete. We call it the box 1, and it's a lot of testing during these days. We test coordination with a special test called Harris test. It's all about body control. We have a stamina test, and we do the beep test or the bleep test, and we also test the power: pull-ups, hanging sit-ups, standing long jump. And if they make the level, they get 1 point.
So that means that you have because it's really long-term program, because you do it maybe 15 years. I'm not sure now. So you have what is the levels, and you just change these levels because you have new and new data, or you have still the same?
Well, the data have changed a bit. Unfortunately, it changed down a little bit. The athlete in general is not as good these days as it was like 10 years ago. And I think we all know why it have changed. I mean, they don't do sports as much as it did before the kids. It's more about iPads, cell phones, etc. So some of these levels have been pulled down a bit. But we also have data from the Swedish Floorball Federation that we are comparing with. So we sort of want to stay in that direction where the federation tells us. And if the student doesn't make the level, they won't be applied to the NIU system.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I'm not sure if you can see the chat, because in chat we have two questions.
Yeah. Let's see. I can't see the questions, but I can see that there is.
Okay. The first question is 40 slots for every year, or only 40 slots for the whole academy?
For the whole academy.
Okay.
So it's 40 slots for the whole academy.
Yeah. And second, how many from all students are boys and how many girls?
Yeah, that's the Swedish Florbal Federation tells us that we should have a 50-50 situation, 50% boys and 50% girls. But it's also up to, well, they need to make the qualification. They need to fulfill the NIU qualifications. So sometimes we have 60% boys and 40% girls. Sometimes it's 50-50. Right now we have a 50-50 situation here in Lerum. But there are some schools in Sweden who only have girls. The certification is for only girls, and in some schools it's another situation. So it's also up to the Swedish Florbal Federation to decide how it should be at that certain school. So, but it can change also during the years. Sometimes we don't have that much girls who applies for this education, and sometimes we have a lot of girls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe for everybody, do you have some asks or questions? Sorry, about the athlete? For example, for me, Mattias, do you know why the Swedish Florbal Federation choose these tests, or it's really historical?
Well, the stamina test is it's really important, and it's because the students they double the amount of exercise when they enter the NIU system, and if you have a good stamina, you can recover quickly, and you can be ready for a training session next day. And the power athlete, it's we are a little bit divided in Sweden if the power is important or not. But it's up to the school to choose if they want to have power as a part of the selection process. The game of floorball is getting more and more physical, so I think power is a good thing to test. And the coordination is, I mean, it's really important for this sport to have a good body control. Well, we had this system for nearly 15 years now in Sweden, the NIU system, and I haven't been a part of it from the beginning, but I guess it's yeah, these tests are well, they are good for floorball.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope that was answer. A good answer.
Maybe something. Why beep test for I don't know. For example, why not 20 minutes run and or the other type of the tests? Why beep?
Yeah, it's well, it's quite the same as when you're running up and down on the floorball pitch. And we also have Cooper test, but Cooper test when they're going to run 3 kilometers as fast as they can. We do that during the autumn or the spring when we have the students in the system. But beep test, it's a good test to test the stamina, and it's a little bit the same as when you're running during a match. A counter attack, and then you run back, and then you're going to turn, and then you're going to full speed, another counter attack, and yeah.
Okay. Okay, it's all. You can continue.
Yeah. And one other thing that I forgot to mention is when you choose tests, it's important that it's easy to control the tests, and that's also a big thing to keep in mind, that you choose tests that are easy to control, and so that every student do the test in the same way. Okay.
Okay, maybe one more question about the harassed test.
Yeah.
I just find it on the YouTube, but it's a different in this test with boys and girls.
Yeah, the hurdles are a bit lower.
And you know how much lower?
Yeah, we have that written down, and we change the hurdles if it's a girl or a boy who does it. Is that test common in your country?
No. I heard about it first time now.
Okay. It's the policemen here in Sweden do it when they are apply for the police education, and yeah, it's a mixture of different body controls, somersault, jumping, crawling, turning, and it gives you a good clue how this student control his or her body. So
and because the obstacle, I'm not sure about how high they are. So do you have exact number?
sorry, I didn't get the question there. Sorry.
About the obstacle, because you just jump and jump across the obstacle. but do you have exact number how high you use for the boys and how high you use from the girls?
Yeah, we measure the hurdles and before the test, and they're not allowed to touch the hurdles or whatever. So it's a quite strict test. But they start with a somersault, and then we have a cone in the middle, and they turn around the cone and running towards the hurdle and jump over it and crawling under it.
Is it 1 meter or 80 centimeters high, the hurdle?
I don't have it in my mind right now, but I think it's 80 centimeters high for boys, and could it be 70 centimeters for girls?
Okay, thanks.
I have it on my computer, but I don't remember it. But I can look it up if you want to.
Okay. Okay. We can continue from the other box.
Yep. And box number 2 is the main thing, the floorball player. And here we have 5 categories, because when we do this selection process, of course, we want the floorball player to be the most important thing. And we check out the technical ability, tactics knowledge. Sorry, I wrote it wrong there. And game perception, decision making, and special skills. It could be speed or shooting or technique or whatever. But some skill that is how could I say it? It sort of explains this player. This is a speedy player, or this is a player with a really good shot. And when we are doing the selection process for the floorball player, we have 3 types of goalie drills that we do, and we play 4 versus 4 with a high tempo. And during these drills, we take notes, and we will have a good clue about this certain student. And the first day they are quite nervous when they is coming to us. So we test the floorball player during 2 days.
Mm-hmm. And for example, the tactic knowledge, you just ask them, or you have some tests, or you just looking on the video, or?
We are looking how they are acting on when they are playing. We give them some tactics, like now we're gonna try to defend like this, and now we want to attack like this, and we see how well they can do it.
Mm-hmm. So that means that you give them the feedback, or you just analyze on the video after this meeting, after this training?
Yeah, we give them some feedback in like the big group, but we analyze it afterwards, and we don't record the selection process. We take notes, and every student have like a paper with all these tests, and we are filling in notes about every student.
Mm-hmm.
Mattias, may I have a question, please? Yeah. For this part, it looks like it's more subjective evaluation of the level of the players with less metrics involved. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's
or
correct.
are the metrics specifically defined?
Oh, that's correct. It's more like our opinion about the player. Sometimes we contact the trainers and ask for their opinion. And these students, they apply almost every student is applying for 3 schools, and we talked with the other instructions coaches at the other schools and ask for their opinions as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I can also say that before we have this selection process, we go to the clubs and we visit training sessions, and we try to scout as many of the students as possible before we meet them. So we have some facts and opinions about them before they come to us. I think that's also good to know. Yep. And finally, personality. It could be quite tricky, but we have interviews with every student. We are watching how they behave during these 3 days. Also how they can socialize and how they can cope with these 3 days. Because it's a lot of pressure on them, and they are nervous, and yeah, you can find out some really important stuff about them during these days. So personality is also important to look at.
Hi, I have one more question. How many goalies are in all academy? Goalkeepers.
Yeah, it could depend, but we don't want to have less than 4, and we don't want to have more than 8. So between 4 and 8 goalies.
That's mean 2 girls and 2 boys, or 4 to 4?
Yeah, we try to make it 50-50 if the students have NIU qualifications. We try to look at that as well. Right now we have 5 boys and 3 girls in the system.
Like in 1 year, or in all?
In all, in 3 years.
Is it less?
So and some schools they don't have more than 1 or 2 goalkeepers, and that make the whole situation more difficult. So it's important that we have a lot of goalkeepers as well in this academy, so to say.
And they make the test or the exams for all 3 boxes also the same, only
Yeah.
instead of the play 4 to 4, or they play also?
Yeah.
Okay. And how big is the field for the play 4 to 4?
We play basically on the whole pitch, but don't behind the goals.
Okay.
We want more like a more direct play with a high tempo, and that will give us a good clue about how they can handle both technical and tactics and game precision or whatever. So we try to sort of put them in a higher tempo than they are used to.
And do you have the points for all of these 3 boxes are the same? Box 1 is some amount of points, box 2 also, or box 2 is more than box 3?
Yeah, Yeah, they box 1 is 3 points, and box 2 is 5 points, and box 3 is 3 points. So because
Okay,
we want box 2 to be more important, because it's floorball players we want to develop, and not track and field. Because some are really good athletes, but they are quite poor as a floorball player, and floorball player needs to be the most important box. But if they have a low stamina and really bad coordination, doesn't help if they are a good floorball player. And one other thing that we choose to play 4 versus 4 is we want to bring all the players sort of at the same level. If we would play 5 versus 5, a lot of them will do the same things they do in the club. So this makes the whole situation more equal.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can continue, I think.
Yeah. So, like a summary here, we have box 1, box 2, and box 3, and the 4th thing is grades at school. That tells us a lot about the students as well. If they have good grades at school, we won't have any problems with them as a floorball player. If the grades are really low, they will have big problems fixing the other subjects in school, and that won't be good because they will have to do a lot of extra studies, and they will miss the floorball lessons. So we can have 2 students who end up with the same points when we add box 1, box 2, and box 3. But one of the students have better grades, and we pick that student instead.
And in case that somebody will have a really big numbers on your box, but he is really bad in school.
Yeah.
So
we will be glad to bring that student into the NIU system, but we are also we will also inform the student and the parents that during the first year he or she will do a lot of extra studies and will miss some floorball lessons during year 1. Because the studies will always be number 1. It's always the most important thing.
and in case that he will be bad after first year, so you just kick him out?
We don't kick anyone out, but we have some dropouts, and I think it's natural that we have dropouts that indicate that we are on a high level here. And for example, now we will have 2 dropouts in year 1. We have one girl who during this year felt that this isn't the right thing for me to do. It's too hard for me. And we have one boy who's been injured for approximately 6 months now. So the athlete isn't where it should be. And sometimes we recommend them to finish the NIU education because they can't cope with it. Sometimes they made the decision themselves. The only thing that can make us kick them out is if they are they have a lot of I forgot the word in English, but if they don't show up here at school, they are sitting at home or whatever. If they don't come to our lessons, if that happens too much, we can kick them out.
Yeah. Okay. Understand.
Yeah, I move on. So we pick students that are really skillful and ambitious floorball player. They got excellent athleticism, high grades at school, and good mentality, fighting spirit, grit, whatever. But they also have the need to have good mentality. And during these 3 days, we can clearly see that if they have good mentality or not.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. What does it mean, grit?
Grit, it's like, I think it's comes from the USA, but it's yeah, you got really. That's why I wrote fighting spirit. Like you never give up. You like when it's tough and hard, and you just keep on going.
Okay. So he's just tough.
Yeah, tough, and yeah, and because during these 3 days, it's really tough for them. That it's not fun to be the first one who stopped running on the beep test. It takes a lot of mentality to keep on going. So we can see that on different kind of tests we do.
Yeah, understand.
Yeah, Marek, you said that we should talk about the development plan, and there are 2 things that I think is really important. The first thing is to secure a long-term education, so it can keep on going at a school here in Lerum for many years. So when we are applying for a new certification, this time we got 6 years. We can run this education for 6 more years, and then we put in another certification, and also that I'm employed by the school. I'm not employed by the club or anything else. So it's really secure for me and for the students. And the second thing is to get acceptance in school. Sometimes it can be really hard for a teacher in math to understand why this student wants to be number 1 in floorball, but we have courses, we have grades, and it all leads to a graduation. So that is quite unique here in Sweden, that we can do sports that is included in school. So these 2 things is really important. Sort of like the base for everything.
Here is the one question about your prefer. Do you prefer the player who are the best in one skill, or you wanted to universal player?
I would say universal player, because during these 3 years, I'm sure that we can develop a couple of skills as well.
So
we
let
try
me.
out. Sorry.
No. Sorry. Continue.
So we, because when we play floorball on our lessons, we want to add things that they don't do in the clubs. So, for example, if a player or a defender, we try to develop skills so that player also can play as a midfielder or as a forward. So we want to add things that they don't get in the club.
Okay, but you plan that he will develop like one extra skill, or you plan in the adult have universal players?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Yeah, sorry. I understand that if you want to develop them, you need to work on everything, but generally, after they will play the highest men's league, for you, it's better have a player with he will be good in everything, or he will be perfect in one thing.
I think the player needs to be good at everything and perfect in a couple of things.
Yeah.
So we try to raise the level here in every student, because basically they need to handle every kind of situation when they're playing, and of course they need a couple of skills, because that sort of will raise their profile. There will be a lot of clubs who will be interested if you got well, if you can handle basically everything on the pitch and you're really good at shooting or passing, or you got a lot of speed, that every club wants that player.
Okay, and here is the other question about if students have a training in floorball clubs, or they train only with you.
They have to play with the club. If they don't play with the club, they won't meet the qualifications, and they have to play on a high level in the club, a high junior level or a senior level.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise they won't make the cut. They won't be qualified.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Should I continue?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, the one thing that is the most important thing is that we create the best possible environment. So the coaches, the teachers, the instructors, whatever you call them, they need specific education. So the Swedish Floorball Federation, they want to secure that everyone that is working with the new system, like me, have an elite floorball coach education. And to that we add some bachelor's degree, maybe in sports science. And we are also an educated teacher. So because it's education in a school, and we have got to have this education. So basically learn from the best coaches and train with like-minded players. That's also a key factor. So that's why the selection process is really important. So we make sure that we have like-minded players, and the Swedish Floorball Federation are really tough about the education we need to have these qualifications as a teacher or coach or instructor when we're working with this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it looks like this. We have 4 training sessions per week, 3, maybe 4 on court, and we have double the amount of exercise. When a student enter the NIU system, he or she double the amount of exercise. The training sessions, we make sure that it's a high degree of difficulty, and we are focusing on individual development, and we also talk a lot about to get outside your comfort zone, try new things, try to do it faster, try to play as a midfielder instead as a defender, etc.
What does it mean that you are focusing on box 1, 2, 3?
Well, when this whole education, when we are training, we are focusing on the same things that we are testing when we are doing this.
Yeah. Now I understand. Yeah, box. Yeah.
So everything is in those 3 directions. We are training really hard to develop the stamina, the power, the coordination, etc. And when we want to focus on to develop the technique, we don't do technique drillings. We are playing 3 against 3, 4 against 4 in a high tempo.
Okay.
So we try to train as we compete or play matches.
Mm-hmm.
And as I talked about before, this education is included in the school. During these 3 years, the students have 3 courses, sports specialization 1, 2, and 3. And on these 3 courses, we are developing the skills and the abilities that you can see in this slide. It says, for example, that sports specialization 1, the student should have possibilities to develop technical abilities, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a subject in school, and they get grades in these subjects, these courses.
Okay, and do you have some subject about, for example, about the how to be better athlete? And I mean just something theoretical that you discuss. Okay, if you want to be more fast, you have to train on this by these rules, for example.
Yeah, we have a course in that as well. Maybe it's on the next slide. We'll see. No, it's a little bit more about the sports specialization first. We also create a floorball player profile. They are writing down a short and a long-term career planning. They're doing this every year. And we also do a lot of match analysis. And we also have 3-4 times every year, we have individual meetings with the students. So this is also part of these 3 courses that we do. So everything isn't on the court. Sometimes we are having meetings with the players or the students.
And you have some coordination with the university, for example, that you try to prepare him to, I don't know, this economical university or this, I don't know, mathematical or other side, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes we do that, and for example, if a student wants to read to study math at the university, they maybe they need to add another course, Math 7, for example, and we have to fit that in the student's program as well. But it's more about we talking to the student and not with the university. The students have people at the school when they can get that kind of help from. Yeah, I will continue.
Maybe it's in case that you just do the match analysis, what type of program you use?
Program. It's not a very specific program. We use maybe the iPad and a program called Coach's Eye is quite good, and the Swedish Florbal Federation recently talked about another program. I forgot about the name, but that is a program where you can put a lot of stats in as well. I forgot got it now, but basically we use iPad. And we watch when we are training or when they are playing matches, and we put up the video on a big screen and you can scroll back and forward and zoom and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And just to give you an example how a lesson can be, it's not rocket science, but as you see, we put some coordination training in the warm up, and we do coordination training every training session. And we can really see from during 3 years how much they have developed. And I think to train coordination is really important. It helps them a lot to develop as a floorball player. And we can play, for example, 3 versus 3 or 4 versus 4, and give them instructions to use 1 or 2 touches and to create give and go situations. And in this kind of drilling, they develop technical ability, game perception, etc. And in the end of the training session, we are giving them feedback in group or maybe individual. And well, it can change during the year. Sometimes we have a counterattack theme, and we do a lot of counterattack and talk about that. Sometimes it's more about defending as a team or as a collective, or sometimes we have possessioning and try to make attacking drills. But yeah, I want to give you just an example how it could be during a training session here in school. So it's sort of like a mixture between the athlete and the floorball player, and it could be also a little bit in the end when we give the feedback and try to develop the personality. We For example, we can have students who doesn't like to talk in a big group, and we try to develop that by giving them the opportunity to talk in front of the group when we are, for example, analyzing that training session. Any questions, or should I continue?
Just look now.
And we also have an extra lesson every week on Friday, and that's the only lesson when we are focusing on individual skills. For example, we can have goalie drills. We can have 3 or 4 students meeting us, coaches, and we are training on specific things that they want to develop. But this kind of training session that I'm showing you now is with the whole group. We have 2 courts next to each other, so we have 20 students on court A and 20 students on court B. And me and my colleague, we are in responsibility of 1 court each. Yeah, I move on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what you asked before about Marek, exercises and competition theory 1. And this course is more about the athlete. And it's some theoretically, but basically we are focusing on doing the training with them. They have a exercise log during the breaks, and we this year we also talked a lot about diet and nutritional. So they have a diary with that as well. They learn how to create their own gym program, but it's a lot about doing the hard training sessions, a lot of testing, and try to develop the athlete as much as possible during these 3 years. And this course they have during 3 years, so it's mostly about the floorball player, and so you can say like 2, maybe 3 lessons a week is about the floorball player, and once every second week we are focusing on this, and the athlete have a lot of work they need to do at home. But we give them the knowledge about how to train to get more speed or to develop your stamina, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, before and after summer break, we have more training sessions that are focusing on the athlete. We have a lot of body tests, as I told you about before, and Swedish Floorball Federation also have a capacity profile for all these steps that you can see on the slide, and we compare the stats that we have there with the students' stats, so they can see if they are far away or if they have reached a level. And the gym sessions, we focus a lot about learn the technique, and after that we are talking about weights and how much you should lift. So it's a lot about understand how to do and then do it. Okay. So, for example, this morning when I met 6 of my students, well, we all know about the situation in Europe, where everywhere we have the school is closed, but we can meet the floorball students once a week. So today I met 6 of my students, and we had a 20-minute warm-up. We did some coordination, and then they were running intervals uphill. So actually this training session I did this morning with 6 of my students. And when we are training them, we give them specific tempo, and so they sort of get the right level of the training. And sometimes it's a little bit about learning by doing, and sometimes it's about listening and doing. Sometimes they will learn the hard way. Sometimes they will train too hard, or sometimes we need to push them a bit.
Yeah, I think that it's same in every team.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is the athlete is if you can develop the athlete a lot, you will develop as a floorballer. And this is really important if they want to reach the elite level, so they can cope, the body can cope with all that training that is necessary for them. And this course is sort of, the purpose is sort of like when they get the exam here, they can be their own coach when it's about the athlete. And Marek, we also talked about how we evaluate the students that they develop in the right direction. So we have these 3 things that's really important. Document everything that they do, and we evaluate and compare stats. The meetings that we are having with them is really important. Sometimes they need guidance, sometimes they need push in the right direction, sometimes we need to listen to them and support them in their decisions. This man-to-man management is really important for them. And we have polls and surveys from the school or from the Swedish Floorball Federation, etc. And yeah, as I wrote there, it measures the coach's qualification, the students' well-being, and the quality of the education. Sometimes the students aren't that satisfied in some way, and we can see in what way we need to get better. But basically, if you look at the stats, you can see how a student been developing during 3 years. It could be in what level the student is playing right now, what kind of role the student have in the team, how the athletic profile has developed, etc.
And the document you just share, it's a normal document or you use some application or some program where it's possible to share whatever what you want?
Yeah, we are using Google Drive. So we have every student got a file in Google Drive, and the student and I have, how do you say, we can see the document, not anyone else, and we save everything there that's important, the career plan, the athletic profile, etc. And they have the gym program there, and so on. So it's like a small database for them.
And you can, for example, you can see the data from the other schools.
And unfortunately, I can't do that. So that would be quite interesting to compare with other schools. I can't do that. It would be good. It would give our students motivation to see if they could compare with other students, but in that way, unfortunately, we can't see that. But here in Lerum, we choose to have Google Drive as application for the students. For example, the national team on the 19th, they use, I think they use, I forgot, they use some application where they add their players. I think it's, maybe they have like a group on Facebook, but where they, that's wrong. They have an application, Google Drive, where they report the training sessions they do during the summer, and they communicate through Google Drive. But between schools, we don't have any connection with any database.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. Any more questions?
Okay, maybe I have one. So this is the system. It's really not all, but you work in this system really long. And do you know about some changes? So do you plan some innovative in this system, or you plan to go on the same way?
We try to develop our education every year here in Lerum. We try to develop the style of play. We try to find new ways how to develop the athletes, and we are looking at influences from the highest level, how a player in the highest league are acting, and what kind of skills do you need, the tempo, and how can we help our students to make that level as quick as possible. So we have our courses and we have our 4 lessons, but we try to develop our education from month to month, I would say.
Okay, but primary is it's your activity or somebody else on their room. It's nothing something I don't know, under you, that you will collective the way how to do better through the all 30 schools.
Yeah, the Swedish Floorball Federation, they have 2 meetings every year with us working at these schools. So we go up to Stockholm and we have meetings there and discussing our education, how we can develop it. Sometimes the coach is there from the national team, and sometimes we have other people who are visiting these meetings and giving us new knowledge. But it's a lot up to me as a person to develop the education, to make it better. We have 3 schools here in my region, and it's kind of a competition between these 3 schools to get the best floorball players into our education. So if we have a good education here in Lerum, the best floorball players will apply to our school. So it's up to us to develop education and make it as good as possible. But in general, the Floorball Federation, with a couple of meetings a year, trying to give us new influences as well. But I think it's up to me mostly to get it better.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to watch as much as I can when the national teams are versing each other, or SSL or some other league. I try to see, pick the good things and try to bring it into my education here in Lerum, and basically see what's working the best in the matches, and what kind of technique are the goalkeepers using, or
Okay,
that's how I try to do it. And we are also I also have a colleague called Magnus, and we help each other to push this education forward and get it better and better. I think that's a key as well, that you're not alone, that you have a partner, a colleague. That's really important.
Yeah. Discussion is every time is the best.
Yeah. And
okay.
Also the Floorball Federation in Gothenburg, they also have a little responsibility to us. So we have some dialogues with them, and they try to, sometimes they want us to help them with camps or questions about education and things like that. So there are a lot of people are connected.
Okay, somebody else, do you have some questions? Okay, it's look that you tell us everything, so we are thank you. I thank you a lot for your information, and I hope so that we stay in contact and we discuss, for example, this topic. So thank you everybody, and have a nice day.
Yeah, thanks.